I'd like to welcome everyone to the Burke County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, October 18th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Got a good crowd here tonight. Good to see. Madam Clerk, we have Commissioner Taylor, Commissioner Britton, Commissioner Carswell, obviously myself, our County Finance Officer, our County Attorney, and our County Manager in attendance. And Commissioner Abley will not be with us tonight because I believe he's still on the trip, correct? So those are in attendance, madam. I would remind everyone, especially with a big crowd like we have tonight, please silence your mobile devices. And if you do come to the lectern to speak, make sure the red light indicator is on so those folks that are at home on YouTube listening will have an opportunity to hear what you have to say. All right, next item of business, I'll now ask our good friend, Pastor George Logan from New Day Christian Church to lead us in our invocation. And then please remain standing while our county attorney, Mr. Simpson, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To you this evening, and we thank you for the opportunity to gather. We count it a privilege to be here, and we count it a privilege to be here and to be able to entreat you on behalf of the county commissioners and on behalf of this county. We ask, Father, that you direct every step. We ask, Father, that your wisdom would prevail here. And you said in your word that if anyone lacks wisdom, that we could ask you for it, and that you would give it to us liberally and would not withhold it. So we thank you for a liberal amount of wisdom today. And I thank you, Father, for giving the county commissioners discernment, to be able to discern between that which is good and between that which is evil. And Father, everything that we do, we thank you that it will be done in the precious name of your Son, Jesus Christ. And to you we give all the glory, the praise, and the honor. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item of business, gentlemen, is approval of the agenda. Those were sent out prior. Are there any corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask that we move one item. And the only reason I'm requesting to do that, there's one item on here that I don't believe I can support. And that is item number 5, request for approval of out-of-state travel. And if we don't do that, I'll have to vote on no for all of that agenda items. So that's the reason.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Gentlemen, you've heard Commissioner Taylor's motion to approve the agenda with the removal, Madam Clerk, not the removal of item number 5, but we can move that to items for decision.
Yes.
Is that okay, Commissioner Taylor?
Yeah, that's what my motion is intended.
Okay.
Yes.
All those in favor signify with the uplifted hand. Motion carried 4-0, Madam Clerk. Next item is approval of minutes from May 3rd, 2022, Board of Commissioners pre-agenda meeting. Gentlemen, the minutes were previously sent out for you. Are there any corrections to those? If not,
My motion, make the motion, we approve the agenda that's rendered.
thank you, Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor signify with the uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that is 4-0. This moves us to presentations. Item number 1 under presentations, Pet of the Month. This will be presented by Caitlin Sunnemeyer, our Animal Services Director. Caitlin, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having us again for the month of October. I know Miss Kay was bringing a treat over here. Miss Vesemir, she's going to be pictured on the screen here in just a second. This is our pet of the month. She is a spayed female terrier. She is absolutely wonderful, but we had her out just before coming up here getting her fall photos made, and she got a little nervous. So I thought bringing her up here may be a little overwhelming. So if you guys make it out of here by 7, you should come down and meet this sweet girl. She is a total love bug. She is a little chunky and needs to lose a little bit of weight. So she is definitely going to need a family that's going to be able to take her for a few walks, but also have a couch for her to lay on because she's going to be a big couch potato. She is about 2 years old. A little high energy, so she would love if somebody could take her home. Her sister was actually adopted about 2 weeks ago, so she would love to go to a home. She is dog friendly and she seems to do well with cats, so that's why we didn't bring her this evening. I just thought it may be a little overwhelming for her. But we also have a cat of the month. This is Miss Capri. Miss Capri is actually with one of our great fosters who is in Charlotte, North Carolina, so she is nowhere, she's not really close, but she is willing to bring her up here if anybody's interested in meeting her. She's got a really great catio out there that she's got 3 of our cats out there fostering. Capri is very sociable, loves other cats. Honestly, she thinks she's a dog. That's how her foster has described her. So if you are looking for a cat-like dog, Capri's going to be the girl for you. And as always, we do a lot of events, and this is our most recent event that we do have coming up through our Animal Services Foundation, thanks to a grant that we did receive. This is our Pet Palooza and Rabies Clinic, and we're hoping to make this an annual event. This is going to be a 2-day event, and this is going to be at the Crosslink Church on Malcolm Boulevard. The first day, there are no pets that are going to come to this event. This is going to be for good old family fashion fun. We're going to have a free hot dog lunch that's going to be provided, and a 30-minute responsible pet education program. If you do sit through that program, we're going to have classes starting every hour. If you sit through that program, you'll have an opportunity to receive free vouchers to have your pet's rabies vaccinated on the second day, and also you'll get to visit our pet resource tent. So if you may feel like you need something for your pet, whether that's a new containment system, any sort of dog housing, spay-neuter opportunities, you'll be able to meet with our volunteers that we have down there running those booths for resources for pet supplies. And on the second day, that's going to be our drive-through rabies clinic. If you attended the first day, the education portion, you will be given a free voucher for each one of the pets that you need rabies vaccinated. And that will be good for dogs only on the second day, and cats we are going to honor for 30 days up at Animal Services. So it's an enclosed area. We're not vaccinating cats out in the cold under a tent, so it's going to be a lot safer for them. The general public can also attend this rabies clinic on the second day. It's $10 cash or check for the rabies vaccine. So we're excited to have that. That is going to be on the 19th and 20th of November. So we hope many people can attend that. Tell your friends, spread the word that we're going to be having that. As always, this is our address. Like I said, we're open till 7 this evening, so come down and adopt Vesemir. That's our phone number if you guys want to reach us, and our email address if anybody has questions about fostering, adopting, or all of the above.
Okay.
Caitlin, can you tell the folks about all the wonderful prizes that we have for coming out to the Day 1 event?
Yes, if you do attend the Day 1, back to the Pet Palooza event, if you attend our education classes, you will also be entered to win a drawing. We have, I think we're up to 3 Thanksgiving dinners for a family of 4. So that's going to be a great prize for someone. I know I would be thankful for a prize like that. As well as we're going to have heartworm preventative available for a lucky dog for that day. Numerous other prizes are coming in from veterinary hospitals and things like that. So we'll have a lot to choose from down there if you come and attend our fun class that we're going to have.
Gentlemen, any questions, comments? It looked like you were successful at the health department fair. You were the busiest tent there, so I think you adopted all the cats you took and several dogs, correct?
Yes, we did 5 adoptions up there at the event, which we only took 7 animals, so that was great. And then whenever we got back to the shelter, I think we adopted 6 or 7 more whenever we got back to the shelter. So it was a really great day, and I hope that the health department does that again for us. Well, for everyone. But that was really successful for us, and we appreciate being invited.
Gentlemen, any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, you're having that at Crosslink Church, is that correct?
Yes.
Do they have room to handle animals in there?
It's not going to be inside. The drive-through rabies clinic will be outside, so it'll be us being all cold while people are cozy in their cars for the day. Now, for the education program, it's a huge church in there. We're going to have it in their gymnasium.
I know it's a huge church, that's the reason I was asking.
Yeah. Yep. So there's no pets for that one. It'll be a drive-through rabies clinic, so there'll be no pets inside, and people can be comfortable in their cars.
Hats off to the church for participating.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Caitlin, thank you so much for all you do. I would encourage everybody to please foster or adopt. There's lots of animals still down there. Thank you. Well, this will bring us to item number 2 under presentations, recognition of employee certification. This will be presented by our friend Stephanie Norman, Register of Deeds. Stephanie, how are you this evening?
I'm good. Good evening. I come before you this evening to recognize 3 of my staff for being certified by the North Carolina Association of Register of Deeds. Shortly after I took office, I set a goal for my staff in the office to become certified so that they would be the most qualified at their job as they could be. To be certified as an assistant or deputy register of deeds, one has to be in the office at least 1 year before applying for certification and must attend the basic school for register of deeds at the UNC School of Government and pass an examination with a score of 70% or higher, plus complete at least 50 hours of approved instruction within 5 years of the date of application, or work for 4 consecutive years as a full-time assistant, deputy, or register of deeds. This may sound very easy, but it's rather a robust process. For instance, an approved North Carolina Association of Register of Deeds workshop that lasts an entire day is only worth 2 credit hours and is only offered once a year, so it takes a while to become certified. Once certified, an assistant or deputy register of deeds must continue acquiring at least 5 educational credits annually to remain certified. And these 3 ladies behind me rose to the challenge and met the goal to become certified this year, and I could not be prouder. So I'd like for everybody to help congratulate these 3 ladies, which Tyra Duckworth has become certified as an assistant register of deeds. Trista Annis has become certified as a deputy register of deeds, and Kim Thronberg has become certified as a deputy register of deeds. And I'd like to present their certifications this evening. Everybody would join me in congratulating them.
Hey, don't run away. We're going to get a picture. On behalf of the board, ladies, congratulations. Great achievement. Well, gentlemen, that'll bring us up to item number 3, an inaugural litter sweep results presented by Tanya Stevenson, Chamber of Commerce President. Tanya, how are you tonight?
I'm great. Hope you all are doing well. Thank you, the Honorable Chairman Scott, and Commissioners and and Brian and everyone, thank you so much for allowing us to come tonight and to celebrate once more for our inaugural litter sweep. We were so excited to be able to do this for the county. We did not do this for the county. The county participated in this. We just put it together and was grateful for the opportunity and grateful for all the partnerships that we had. First, I want to recognize Republic Services was a great partner with us for this project. We're just very thankful for them, and they helped in so many ways. I want to thank the county, you guys, for your support for proclaiming September 19th week as our inaugural litter sweep week. Brian and Kay and Mark, all the convenience site workers, we just couldn't have done it without all you guys, and we just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I want to recognize my special person back there, Jenna Cole. She was the backbone of this project, and she just did a fabulous job. Never done a litter sweep before, but when I said, hey, you want to do one? And she jumped all over it and really just did a fabulous job, and I'm so thankful for her. To give you a little bit of results, we had 12 teams to participate, which I thought was wonderful for a first-year event. That was 77 people. There were 95 bags collected in over 8 larger items, such as tires and things like that. So this county showed up and showed out, and that's 95 bags now that is in a where it's supposed to be versus on our streets. And so that's what we were looking to do, was to clean up our streets. So tonight, Mr. Mulwee had asked us if we would bring our winners to see you guys and to be able to honor them here tonight. So you want me to just announce them?
Please do.
Okay. So I'm going to start with our third place team was the Enola Group, and with us, the Enola Group Litter Eliminators. They had a cool name. So we have with us tonight Nancy Wood is with us. We did not expect this, but we had a 3-way tie. Oh, let me back up. In the Enola Group, they picked up 14 bags of trash. So that's pretty awesome. We did not expect, but we had a 3-way tie for second place, which none of us was ready for that, but we're going to be ready in the future. So in our second place, Mission Morganton. Unfortunately, Maggie McKinney, their leader, could not be with us tonight. But boy, she was on their team, and they just did a great job with 18 bags. Also with 18 bags was Victorious Church of God. Sweepers is their name. We have Natasha Moore with Victorious Church of God. And then Lake James Environmental Association, we have with us tonight Sophie McCarthy for that group. So they all picked up 18 bags each for each team. And then in first place, very impressive first place, we had one person pick up 19 bags of trash. So in honor of DAV Chapter 43, Gary Jennings did a fabulous job of picking up 19 bags of trash. And really, he gets a yeoman's award because he picks up trash all the time. But for that week, he did that. And so, cash prizes for these awards. Third place got $150. Each of the teams in second place got $250. And DAV Chapter 43 got $500 cash prize. So I want to thank everybody in the county for participating. Hopefully next year we can double those numbers and really clean up the streets. But I would love for if you guys would indulge me, but to give these guys a round of applause for all their hard work and effort.
And if you could have those folks come up front, please.
Natasha and Sophie, Gary, Nancy. Get your picture with them. Thank you. Oh, wait, I think Kay wants. Get him out of the way. Cheers. Awesome. Thank you. And if I may just say one more thing, Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank you for participating in our celebration ceremony. It was nice having you there and to be a part of our celebration. Hopefully, we fed you good at that event.
Oh, yes, plenty of food.
So, but thank you to everyone. Thank you so much for all that your support.
Gentlemen, any questions or comments for Tanya? I know this has been a big push for us for years. Donnie's smiling. He's been preaching on this a long time. So I will say all of us have, we've talked about this for years, and we want to thank you for taking the lead on this. And once again, thank all of you that participated. Many of them aren't here tonight because I think you had 77
participants.
77 participants. So like you said, maybe we can double that next year.
Absolutely.
So thank all of you.
And we encourage everybody to come out and help us next year.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Tanya.
Mr. Chairman, do we want to accept that report?
Yes, gentlemen.
I move we accept that report, Mr. Chairman.
All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. 4-0. Thank you, Madam Clerk. That'll move us on to item number 4, Community Development Presentation on the Fauna Flora Trail, and this will be presented by Alan Glines, our Deputy County Manager, Planning Director. Alan, how are you this evening?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you, Chairman Moley, Vice Chair Carswell, members of the commission, members of the public, and staff. Happy to provide an update for the Fauna Flora Trail. Early in 2022, earlier this year, the Board of Commissioners approved a development plan to be completed over several years for the Fauna Flora State Trail. What we did was we broke out each year and tried to anticipate what we'd be able to cover as a work plan for Fauna Flora for each year. I'll highlight the year 2022, and then we'll have some look at some of the other projects as well. The first item on the on our map there, over here at Powerhouse Road, we were working out a Part F grant. We've had some trouble with that grant to complete it because it required purchase of property for a future trail. Now, we'll have to rework this area and try to find a connection through there. We went over that in quite some detail before, but we do hope to keep working in this area, and we'll have to study that as part of future efforts. Number 2 here is the watermill access. That's at the Glen Alpin Watermill Road, and that's the new boat launch that was worked out with Burke County and the Wildlife Resources Commission. We actually have a kind of a ribbon cutting dedication at 3 o'clock on Thursday at the site, if anyone would like to join us there. That project is completed and the site is open for use. What it included was a new boat ramp that kind of made a better approach and access into Catawba River at that point. So that project is complete, and we're happy to see that done. The Area 3 on the map is pretty big property area there. There's a lot of easements that are needed between Duke Energy and the Wildlife Resources Commission. So this is to resolve that alignment with for the fauna flora through this area below Patty Creek Dam, the Bridgewater Crossing, and the North Bend sections. Now, staff have had a number of meetings this year with representatives from Duke Energy and the North Carolina Resources Commission to try to work out details on access and crossings and how to fit through that area there. So we continue to work on that. We're making progress. Number 4 on the map is the Canal Bridge. This is that kind of linchpin link between the north and south parts of Fauna Flora Trail around the lake on the west side. And we're making good progress on that. This is going to be a partnership project with Fauna Flora and the Over Mountain Victory Trail, National Historic Trail. What we're going to end up with here is a sidewalk that will be along the bridge deck in that area. It's quite a wide bridge, but we had to provide some engineering study to add this extra live weight, kind of like a dead weight, onto the bridge. So DOT has given some initial approval, and there's more study has to be done to complete that work, and then we'll get a final on that, and then we'll work with our funding partners, which is the Over Mountain Victory Trail folks and Fauna Flora State Trail folks and Burke County to kind of make this happen early next year. Number 5 on the map is the Harris-Wisnet Trailhead. We've talked about that as being a new parking area and trailhead for that east end of the trail, east side of the lake. And we've done some initial work there. We have more to do with the final design and to get that contracted for construction. It's a fairly small project. It should provide about 10 to 15 parking spaces. Number 6 on the map, of course, our beautiful Fauna Flora County Park. We're mostly activating the top of the park with some parking. We have restroom facilities there. We'd like to do more at Fauna Flora, and this is an opportunity to try to engage that area with further activity. There's, in the future, we can enjoy and expect a new motorized boat launch with Duke Power. They're going to take care of that at the bottom end of that peninsula, and that will kind of come to us for study in future years. So. But to meet that, we'd like to do some more work there, maybe develop a playground, and we have some things we'd like to bring into the park and make that a space that the community can, our broad community can have access to the water and also to the beautiful park feature there. Number 7 on the map, on this map is the 1780 subdivision. And this is, for Burke County, this is our western end of Fauna Flora, and it'll join McDowell County and be continued there through McDowell County's work. Excuse me, survey work has begun in this area at this time, and what we're going to try to do is develop a construction easement to build the trail section within a wider construction easement, and then we'll follow up with a second, more refined trail easement once construction happens. So that's kind of active now, and future years will bring the actual construction in that area. And then as related to that, the Lake James State Park, it's not really numbered on there, but of course it's a massive territory through here. It ties in on both sides of this canal bridge, north and south. Of course, it goes into McDowell County as well. Been a great partner for the trail. They've been involved with sections of the trail. What we have now, this is sort of on this eastern section here, it's in place. It's about 7 miles of trail through there. So we have to still kind of complete this section through here, and we've made a note on that map. It's almost 2 miles to get over over on the road over there. So they've been great to work with on that. And I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it here, but we have a little section here that will continue down. This is all state park easement for the trail. And then we have an important partner represented by Lake James, a family campground. And they are the camping resort. They are providing a major easement along Benfield's Landing on behalf of Fauna Flora Trail. We have a couple sections through their property. It'll go through the existing campground and then a new section that they're doing for RV camping. And the total of that new easement's about almost a mile. It's 0.8 of a mile. So I knew it was a good number, and I measured it today, and it's almost a full mile. So we really thank Lake James Camping Resort for their partnership, and we're working on those final easements for this area here. On our map for this year as well, we have number 8, and that's the Linville Dam Boardwalk. Now, if you study Lake James, there's a lot of repeats in names, but there's a Linville boat launch at the top end of the lake up here. This is kind of sort of in this area. But back in the day, the Linville River just flowed all the way through here, and they created a dam where it has the outfall, and that's the Linville Dam. Now, what we're going to put over on that section there is a boardwalk, and that will be kind of above the gravel that's right above, or not really gravel, it's rock, right above the water's edge. And in the earthen dam section, there'll be a future boardwalk go across there. It'll be below the roadway, but it'll be a beautiful overlook and sort of a nice, beautiful trail section for viewing the lake and enjoying the lake. It'll be ADA accessible for all folks, and so it'll be a beautiful boardwalk. And that's in the engineering design phase as well. We do have a few other maps we've provided. What we try to do is keep the project going and what would be included in forthcoming years. And so we carry the numbers over, but number 11 on the map would be the Duke Energy motorized boat launch. And what they would eventually do is convert this Linville access area into canoes and kayaks only, and kind of convert things over to the new motorized launch. Number 9 up there is, there's another subdivision up there, and we would be working to try to bring that trail through to the final connection there. And we'll continue to do more work below Patty's Creek Dam and that whole section through there for easements and more research. So that concludes my presentation on that.
Alan, thank you. I know we all had a lot of questions at pre-agenda, but we may still have a few more, gentlemen. Any questions or comments for Alan?
Mr. Chairman, just one if I could. Could you give us an estimate of how many miles are completed? And that would leave how many miles yet to complete?
We're probably about halfway there. I'd say we have about 20 miles completed, and we could easily end up with another 15 to 20 miles to get back to Morganton and reach the county line. So we've got work to do, but we've made great progress on that, and we're happy to keep working on it.
Good report, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Alan, we have a question about repeating the location and dedication date.
Oh, I beg your pardon. So
Repeat that question,
It's-
please.
the watermill
Alan,
dedication?
for the,
I believe the question is the time and location for, it's the watermill boat launch dedication is Thursday this week, 3 o'clock on site. So it's right at the Glen Alpin Watermill Road. It's on the south end of the river at that point. It's on the right as you're heading north. So
Okay.
folks are welcome to join us.
absolutely. And if you can carpool, I know we've only got so many spaces, so if you
Yeah.
do decide to come, we want to welcome everybody, but ride with friends and family preferably. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Alan. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move we accept the report.
All right, all those in favor signify with an uplifted hand. That is 4-0, Madam Clerk. That'll move us on to the next item of the agenda, scheduled public hearings. Item number 1 under scheduled public hearings, BDI, resolution for sewer grant for Unix Drive LLC. This will be presented by Alan Wood. I didn't see you back there.
I was hiding. Better keep a low profile. This is a part of our process to run the infrastructure to the lot lines for this project. This is an IDF fund grant money, which is a $503,000 approximately project to do 2,200 linear feet of sewer line that will take it from its current terminus to the lot lines of the building. The good thing is while it does this, it runs by and serves the other largest pad we still have remaining. So that will have the infrastructure already there when we land a project on that site. We will handle this much the same way as we did the water tank, where the county provides the match. Then when we start collecting grant funds, those will reimburse the match before any other distributions start out to the partners with the business park. Once we get this done, there is a document that the company would sign along, they call it a legally binding contract, I think. We've already forwarded that to the company for them to review. Once those two items are completed and the resolution signed, then we can begin the engineering work on the sewer line. So it's all a step in the process.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, any questions or comments for Alan?
Mr. Chairman, like you said before, we asked a lot of questions that are pre-agenda, but I did want to ask one more. Alan, did we get notice that we are getting the grant, or is it still?
The grant's approved.
It was approved?
Yeah, the grant has been approved. This is just the completion of the process.
Okay, and The other question was about, it will also, if I recall correctly, allow other business to be in there, and this sewer line will serve other businesses other than this one.
Well, in particular, yeah, the the way that we think the line will run, it will come right up the fall line, which would serve that lower pad. And then it would be also the other two pads adjacent would just tie into that line. That's the way it's planned.
Okay, thank you. I think that's helpful.
Gentlemen, any other questions or comments? At this time, we'll hold a public hearing. I'll open that public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? There being none, I'll close the public hearing. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt resolution number 202217 and approve a general fund balance appropriation of $125,833 as the matching funds for the grant from the North Carolina Department of Commerce to approve the transfer of said appropriation of the Government Capital Projects Fund.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. All those in favor of Commissioner Britton's motion, signify with uplifted hand. That is 4-0, Madam Clerk. That'll move us on to item number 2, and building reuse grant for Project Vet and public hearing.
Thank you for that, gentlemen, and thank you for hearing this information as well. I wish I knew exactly how many building reuse grants we've done. I need to go back and check that number. At one time last year, Burke and Catawba County were responsible for about 25% of all these building reuse grants that were done in the state for that year. So we get a lot of these, and we've been very, very fortunate. This is a local company that is doing an internal expansion. They're adding some square footage onto their facility. It will be creating 30 new jobs, roughly $41,000 per job. The capital expenditure is roughly $7 million, and that work will begin this fall, and then the jobs will be created within 24 months. We'll verify those jobs, reimburse them for the money, and close the grant out. As with all these jobs, they do require that the company provide health insurance, which is very, very important. And the city of Morganton is the applicant and has approved their part of the match. And as we have done previously, when we have a partner, we'll split that match 50-50. So the county's portion of that would be $5,000, and the COG would be administering this.
Thank you, Alan. Questions, comments for Alan? All right, there being none, we do need to hold a public hearing, so I will now open that public hearing. Does anybody here wish to speak to this? There being none, I will close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I approve to general funds, the fund balance appropriation of up to $5,000 for an economic development incentive for Project Vet for the county's portion of the local grant match, pending notification of a building reuse grant award.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. That motion carried 4-0, Madam Clerk. Alan, thank you, sir.
Thank you. We probably should hear an award on this probably later this week. I think that's when the Rural Infrastructure Authority meets. So thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you. All right, this brings us to item number 3, community development, ordinance calling for a moratorium on short-term rentals and public hearing. This will be presented by Alan Glines.
Hi, thank you, Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the commission, members of the public. So a moratorium for short-term rentals. Let me start by saying that, if I might, that the proposed moratorium would not affect any existing short-term rentals operating in Burke County. It's not for that. Those folks should continue their operations without interruption. Also, we are not doing anything to affect other lodging facilities, which would include hotels, motels, campgrounds, or bed and breakfasts with this moratorium request. So it doesn't affect any other lodging operating in Burke County. Short-term rentals are the use of a home for lodging for periods of a short nature. With the moratorium, county staff is seeking time to adjust our short-term rental ordinance, which is part of the zoning code here. And it's in light of the recent court case, Schroeder versus City of Wilmington. That court case went to the Court of Appeals, and a lot of things that cities and counties have put into their ordinances are no longer valid based on that court case. So we need a little time. That's what we'd like to do on how to manage short-term rentals and adjust our code to reflect what's happened at the state level. During the moratorium period, staff will neither process new applications nor enforce the rules for short-term rentals. Some of the regulations in our ordinance are not in compliance with the court case, so we need time to study the issues and make amendments. We will have short-term rentals available in the future. We just need to make the regulations comply with the new state directives. So we expect to keep short-term rentals in our books in the future. We just need to make sure the rules we have in place are going to comply with state. Okay? We're asking for a 6-month time period where staff would meet with stakeholders and interested individuals to consider changes to the existing ordinance. Once the amended draft ordinance is ready, we would bring it through the normal planning process, normal process for any amendments to our zoning code, and that includes the planning board for review and recommendation, and then of course it ends up here at the Board of Commissioners for adoption. Staff is asking for 6 months, but if the work is completed sooner, we will shorten that time period and bring it to something sooner than that. The planning board and the Board of Commissioners are kind of a sequential process. They're about a month apart, so they do take a little bit of time within that 6-month window. I can answer any questions for you.
Gentlemen, I'm sure many of you heard from the community on this, so questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, he answered one of my questions, which was the 180-day event, because we discussed it in pre-agenda. And I had hoped and thought, and maybe I thought incorrectly, but that we would add up to 180 days.
Okay.
And as you stated just now, that we will make an attempt to get it done just as soon as possible.
Yes, sir.
And I think it'd be good. I think that's might be a little bit of the misunderstanding. And also I appreciate your correctiveness on that. It doesn't bother anything that's been done, but I think from the public's view is that we need to be in compliance with the rules and regulations, and we have evaluated and judged ourselves and said it needs improvement, and that's what we're trying to do. It will be better for everybody when we finish.
Will, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor.
Mr. Chairman, you mentioned the planning board. What role will they have in this process, Alan?
Well, every amendment to our zoning code, it makes a stop at the planning board for recommendation. It's part of any process to have a zoning ordinance has to be reviewed by the planning board. They can review the item, make suggested changes. They can recommend approval, recommend denial, or ask for a little more time to spend on it. But they are part of that necessary process for any kind of amendment before it reaches the Board of Commissioners for final disposition.
And as part of this process, as you're doing the study, the planning board's doing their work, is a moratorium required? Could all this happen without regard to a moratorium?
Well, sir, the issue we have without asking for a moratorium is that we get requests every month for more permits for short-term rentals. And the rules we have in place, the way our ordinance is written, there are things in here that were not supported by the state, the lawsuit, essentially. So there's things we have in our books that we have to take out. But I can't take anything out without a process to do that, which includes a little bit of study plus the planning board and coming back here. So just for this period of time, I'd like have a little window where we can work on it and not be in conflict with what we know is going to be state rules.
What were the major changes in Schroeder and Wilmington? What stood out to you?
I think that many cities and counties were anticipated the use of a short-term rental to be non-residential, right? We imagined it to be more of a commercial use, a lodging, no longer a residential focus. But I think the court case really solidified that, no, they consider it to be the use of a home, and that's it. And you have people living there, but they're living there for a shorter period of time. So you can't have a lot of extra rules in there that you wouldn't have for your own residential development. So yearly inspections, yearly permits to operate, 3 strikes and you're out, those kind of things aren't going to work.
So Schroeder was suggesting that Wilmington's ordinances were too tight?
Yes, and they were kept out of the program, and they appealed that and said that basically Wilmington operated a registration program for rentals, and the state has made clear that you can't regulate rental of residential uses, period. So, so in likening it to a residential use, short-term rental being a residential use, it falls into that category, and they found that the Wilmington law was overstepping those rights that a property owner has as a homeowner, a property owner.
How many requests are we receiving on average for short term?
Well, we have, we've issued 19 permits to date. 7 of those have been lakefront, mostly around Lake James, not always. We have probably 12 that we've spoken to people, and we're pending those to decide this moratorium. 12 more.
During your proposed moratorium, are you going to have to seek the services of local attorneys to make sure we're in compliance, or are you going to try to determine in-house?
Well, we have the capable hands of JR, and we'll ask for his assistance on this matter. If we haven't set aside any kind of funds for additional legal help, but maybe if we felt like we needed to do that, we could either come back or we could see if we have anything in the budget.
That's all I have right now.
Alan, so just kind of summation, because sometimes the more information we can push out, the better folks will feel, because I think they're thinking one thing and maybe it's not going to be that. So we're looking at it probably going to be less stringent. During this period, you're not going to be doing any approval or enforcement, really. So if it's business as usual, who's affected?
People can continue forward. That's right. No one's affected right now.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, gentlemen? And I would say, I just echo what Commissioner Taylor and the rest of us have said. I would encourage, personally, that if we can get this done in 3 months, I'd much rather do it that way. But I know that's might be pushing it. So, no further questions or comments, gentlemen? Then I will hold a public hearing. And I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to this?
Mr. Chairman, I had a lady pre-register with me, Miss Jennifer Smith, and I have one card from Mr. David Crossan so far.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Smith. My address is, my house that we rent is 6149 North Shore Drive. Actually, my mother-in-law, she moved to assisted living, so we ended up purchasing her house, and we live right around the corner. My parents live 2 houses down from there, and we wanted to be able to keep the house so that someday our kids might be able, I have 5 children, and if they ever want to be on the lake, we all know what the prices are like right now, so our only hope was to be able to rent it and hold on to it until one of them is in a position where they might be able to buy it. But can I just say that I don't know how this all started, but our house, we allow 6 people there. We've had really nice families. Last weekend, we had some people that were at the bike race. I look at the Fauna Flora proposals for the trails, and those people that come here to use that and to use the lake need somewhere to stay. I mean, and there's not that many places in Burke County or around Morganton to stay. And I'm very respectful of my neighbors. They're my neighbors. We've been there for 20 years. I would never let anyone staying at my house do anything that would disrupt them. Just like I wouldn't do anything at my house that would disrupt my neighbors. I realize that sometimes Airbnbs and VRBOs get a bad rap, but I think a lot of us who are here who have rentals are very respectful of the people that live next door. And you know, I have a single family home. I don't understand why I should be held to different standards than the person next door. I mean, we have neighbors in our neighborhood in Holiday Shores that have 14 people at their house and they only have a legal 2-bedroom home. But yet, because mine is a rental and has 3 bedrooms, I can only have 6 people, which I don't want more than 6 people because I don't want any parties or anything. But I'm just saying that there doesn't have to be guidance for short-term rentals. McDowell County doesn't have guidance for short-term rentals. It was a group of people that insisted on that in Burke County. So I just ask as you go forward that if you do make other regulations for them, that you just consider there are people like us who just have a home that we want other people to be able to use and to use the lake, because some people can't afford to live here. And if they want to use the lake and come with their family, and we had a family a couple weeks ago that they sent us a letter an email after they left that said that they had the best time of their life and that she had reconnected with her kids because she'd gone through a divorce. And I mean, it was a heartfelt thing. And I just felt so good that I gave them a place to stay, and they fished and they kayaked and they had fun. And so when you think about it, just think about people like us, not like a party house that everybody kind of, you know, associates with VRBOs and Airbnbs. We're not all like that. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Madam Clerk?
David Crossan.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, public.
Could you please
Thank
state
you.
your name again and address? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. My name is David Crossan. I'm a resident here in Burke County. I'm a retired service member and business owner. I came to speak just for a few minutes today and understand the moratorium and the language and can understand where Burke County is in the position they are in based on the findings from the Willington case. But I do ask for a moment of caution when transitioning from those workings and the dealings they have moving forward with particular regulations and how that'll translate to zoning with the following information. Number one, long-term rentals or property owners are not restricted in any way or require any licensing in Burke County, nor do they require any licensing in the state. Number two, short-term rental owners are typically an example of my fellow citizen Jennifer and others like her. Some are investment properties and they are residential properties, and they did require a certain amount of investment to get there, to turn from an empty residential home into one that is published across the websites, has furnishings, is done very nice, and is protected through both short-term rental providers, very prestigious and awarding insurance policies. Now, I understand also, though, the need for some regulation, or at least the ability to regulate those items that become challenging to the public, whether it's parking, whether it's excessive noise, or other disruptions to their neighbors and their community, and completely support that approach and understand that no one's intent is to disrupt their neighbors or to certainly make a mark on their community that's a negative mark. That being said, many short-term rental owners do their best to regulate their guests. They communicate with the host platforms, whether it's VRBO or Airbnb, or even local law enforcement. I can tell a story where we called local law enforcement, asked them to come out. We had received permission from the host platform to evict or to ask the residents to leave because they violated policy. And unfortunately, our local law enforcement officers could not regulate or act in a manner of law enforcement in that case. They can only be there to keep the peace. So there is room for improvement and regulation to be able to assist short-term rental owners and property managers working through these platforms to assist to resolve disruptions and problems when they occur. But the 99% of them operate with good faith and goodwill and the intent to manage and regulate the property in a courtesy environment to, again, not disrupt their neighbors. And my last part is just a quick market study. There's 3 types of travelers. There are travelers that love to stay in hotels. They love fresh towels. They love freshly made beds and a little bit of convenience. There's the next group is agnostic. They don't care. They're looking for a deal. Whoever has the best deal possible, that's where they're going to stay. Sometimes I fall into that. My wife does it often. The third group, however, are dedicated folks that bring families or ask other members of friends and family to join them to rent a larger home that has greater facilities, better parking, and is more able to host a family atmosphere while they're enjoying our great city and our great county and some of the projects that we have and some of the tourist activities that we have. I do caution that anything that we do from a presentation that might limit those capabilities from short-term rental owners should be equal to that to long-term rental owners and separate from hotels and lodging, although there is a need for safety and oversight, but the majority of us don't have those issues. That concludes my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Is there anybody else here that wish to speak to this issue? There being none, I'll close the public hearing. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, can I be heard for a moment?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank all of y'all for what you presented to us tonight. I think we're between a rock and a hard place because of a lawsuit, and we don't want to be there. I do agree that because of that lawsuit, we're going to have to put some new eyes on the processes, and I want the citizens to be involved in this process. I think Alan has been pretty clear that citizens would be involved along with the planning committee. So I'm hoping that we can, like we have before, peacefully sit down and find a good solution. Short-term has been very kind to us. It's been very lucrative to the county as far as taxes and as I've said many times up here before, I love that lake. I stay up there myself every weekend and don't do short-term rentals unless I count my family that comes in. But we have the jewel in North Carolina when we look at Lake James. And it's, like I say, it's been very good to us. I wouldn't want to do anything to hurt that. Really appreciate your comments. You got great insight as to what, that's my same insight. I just want to make sure everybody is happy. Alan, I got approached tonight. Me and Jeff started talking, and he kind of opened my eyes to some other things. You know, 6 months is a long time. I hope we can shorten that period of time up and come to some decisions. We do things well when we do it here in Burke County, and I hope we can continue to do that. So I've gone back and forth over this, so I've got to go one way or the other. So I'm going to make the motion to adopt ordinance number 2022-06.
Uplifted hand. Motion carried 4-0, Madam Clerk. And that'll bring us up to item number 4 under scheduled public hearings, adoption of ordinance updating the blueprint, strategic land use plan, and future map. This will be presented by Alan Glines again. You're a busy man tonight.
Thank you again, Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the public, all members of the board. Tonight, I'm asking for your consideration to adopt an update to the Blueprint Burke Comprehensive Plan. These plans are done, every 8 to 10 years, sometimes a little longer. A more modern approach to these documents is that they're updated as needed or when specific items are changed and warrant kind of relooking at the issues. The plan was adopted in about 2014. Since then, we've had a lot of positive growth and changes in Burke County. But at that time, the 5-year window of study didn't show a lot of growth between like 2008 and 2014. So we had a different story to tell. And the document that we adopted as a county reflects that. So, but now we have new things to add and share and interesting things to consider, and it provides an opportunity for the commissioners and the public to understand our opportunities here in Burke County. Hopefully everybody gets behind them. Who uses a comprehensive plan? Well, staff use it, of course, when we're imagining ordinances and changes that face Burke County. But also, the Board of Commissioners utilize it for long-term planning and strategic planning in the county. I would add, though, that when we have prospective developers, whether they be housing developers or people bringing businesses to our county, they'll often look for these kind of documents so they understand how Burke County envisions itself, so they can get an idea of this community and what we're all about. Have a few slides here. So we'll be ending up studying this map, which is our future land use map. It helps us plan for future growth and land uses in Burke County, but that's a beautiful map of the county. And you can see I-40 through the middle here and all of our townships from east to west. And then our points north and south. We're bookended north and south by beautiful parkland and mountain features. So we're truly blessed in Burke County with our beautiful topography and other so many resources. We were studying some of the updates to the plan, and includes the population of Burke County. The 2020 census says we're at 87,570. Apologize for a typo in the last presentation. That number is down about 3.7%, and there is some disagreement with the numbers. Census was started during COVID, and some people might have been undercounted. There's a lot of reasons that we might have lost population, but we want to see that number turn around and grow. So we'll all be working hard to do that, I'm sure. The labor force in Burke County represents about 40,000 people. And this includes all folks who are employed or unemployed folks who are looking, or laid off folks awaiting a callback. Sometimes that happens occasionally. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics counts everybody 16 and older who aren't retired as being in that category. The unemployment rate, we're all quite aware of that, but we're hovering around 3.5%, which is basically full employment. And what we're learning, and everyone's involved in this, is that there's a shortage of workers, and that workers are sort of in the driver's seat, if you will, for finding work. And so employers are having to resort to new incentives and better benefits to attract those same workers. So it's a good time to be considering our opportunities here for our employees and staffing countywide. Millennials, which is the group who are approaching 40 years old now, they're younger than 40 or just so, they make up the largest population group in the workforce today. That has happened in the last couple years. Basically, there's more millennials in the workforce than baby boomers, and we're always, we've gotten used to having baby boomers being the largest group of the population. Well, not anymore. In the workforce, it's millennials. Nationwide, it's about 72 million workers. And finally, the Burke County population is trending older, and our job will be to attract younger people to our region, which is an opportunity for us because we have a lot to offer younger folks as well. Housing is a major theme in the Blueprint Burke plan. We need more of all types of housing. We know there's a housing shortage. There's a shortage of rentals. There's single-family apartments, townhomes. We're seeing some of that being developed in some of our communities, and we're glad to see it, but we need more of that. And housing of those types, townhomes and apartments need infrastructure. They usually need sewer capacity, and they need water. So those things become important when we're thinking about growing our community. We also need housing at a variety of price points. So we have available product depending on individual family needs. And those family needs, they change over time. Sometimes young folks are content with townhomes or apartments. And then as folks form families, they might want more space and need outdoor space for kids and whatnot. But then when folks face retirement, a lot of times they're looking to downsize. And so townhomes, once again, become attractive for folks in that category. Denser housing where appropriate in portions of the county and nearer to our incorporated communities and where we have infrastructure, those are going to be needed in Burke County. We're going to need to consider denser housing at the appropriate locations. And at times our zoning ordinance will have to be reviewed and considered, sometimes changed and amended to be ready to accommodate opportunities for new housing in our community. So we're looking at those opportunities to update ordinances all the time, and we know there's a process involved in that. And also, Western Piedmont Council of Governments, the COG, recommends a yearly goal of increasing our housing stock throughout the region by 2% each year. And that's not people, that's housing units. So this is just to maintain our workforce and hold our population steady, try to grow it. Now, Burke County, we're roughly about 1% for the last several years, which is about 350 new units. And that does include manufactured housing. Not all of those manufactured housing units are brand new units in the community. Sometimes they're replacing units. But we were just looking at numbers through the year, 2022, up till September, and we've exceeded last year's numbers for single-family home permits, and we have 3 months to go. So that's a good sign for us here in Burke County. This is a kind of a plot map of housing permits. Beginning in 2014 up to 2021, we did include single-family, multifamily, and mobile homes. This is county-wide. And you may see, I'm sorry, it's a little hard to read, but there is some multifamily in areas around Valdez, and there would be some in Morganton as well, but it's kind of interesting to see that. You can see the demand and interest in the lakes, of course. We all know that, but even on Lake Roadhus, we're seeing a lot of activity, plus up in Jonas Ridge and some other population centers, Salem and other areas. Okay, employment trends for 2021. Manufacturing and warehousing, 24% of the population is involved in manufacturing and warehousing. Of course, warehousing is tied hand in hand with manufacturing since products need to be stored before they're shipped. Healthcare and social assistance, about 22%. Retail services, 10%. That number for retail services has grown over the years for Burke County, so that's a higher number than it was maybe in 1990 or 2000. And also accommodation and food service. That's our growing recreation, tourism and recreation kind of economic driver, and that's reflected there in that number. This current county employment is more diverse today than in 1990. More sectors have larger shares of the workforce, making Burke County more resilient. If we have another downturn in the economy in one sector or another, we'll be better positioned to withstand that downturn and have an opportunity. In 1990, I was doing some research, and about 52% of the county population, workforce population, was involved in manufacturing. So we're more diverse today. We can still grow that and grow all these areas and be in good shape, but it's just interesting how it's changed. Projection that the workforce has slow growth of younger workers, while the number of retirees will grow over a period of studying 2020 to up to 2040. And on those green bar graphs, 2040 is the far right, and 2020 is the current time period. So the population of 18 to 44 will grow, but the younger population will have a little bit of growth, And then the 45 to 64 sort of trails off, and then more people will be, that older community factor is where more folks retiring. So we need to grow our younger folks, our younger population, do what we can, and we have some good strategies in the plan to do that. Okay, so some of these strategies are included here. These are included in a section called Policies and Action Steps. We've talked about economic development. We've talked about housing. The plan had a really nice section on rural character and traditional land uses. Want to maintain, allow growth, but maintain our scenic qualities here. We don't want to lose all that, so that the plan's anticipating that. Also, transportation. Most of our transportation is handled with the help of the COG through the Metropolitan Planning Organization in partnership with the DOT. And then other infrastructure needs, there's opportunities for, we talked about water and sewer, the need for that, but also broadband countywide. I know a lot of folks are working on that. So opportunities with infrastructure. The recreation part, we do have some opportunities there, and recreation supports local residents, but also that growing tourism base. So it's important for Burke County. It's a growing economic sector. As I say, it serves tourists and residents alike with area attractions. A lot of times, folks, before they move to a new area, they are tourists first. They want to see what it would be like to live there, so they check us out when they come to visit. It reinforces our message that Burke County is a great place to live, work, and play. It creates a competitive advantage for new industry to relocate. They're looking for places that their workers are going to want to come to work at their new factory or facility, and they'll have plenty of things to do. They don't want to have trouble hiring workers. So recreation supports that. Also, recreation supports entrepreneurship and small businesses. It actually encourages that. There's a lot of opportunities for people to carry on businesses, and I know a lot of folks have expressed tonight that short-term rentals is a component of that for them. They can support the recreation tourism industry. And then finally, the future land use map. We've tied it pretty closely with current zoning, which we have a good zoning map. We needed to link up the future land use map more closely with zoning compared to the map that had been in place over the last few years. And we allow a lot of growth. We expect a lot of growth, but we do have some conservation areas along Lake James and Lake Roadhis. We expect that we'll have some non-residential uses up there, but we want to be kind of careful about what happens up there on the lakes. But we need things like marinas and campgrounds and other things to complement residential living up there. It might be restaurants and other businesses. The areas north and south of the county, we pretty flexible. That's part of our rural landscapes, and we want to make sure that people can operate businesses and have farms and live in residential areas there and be supported. Around our communities, our townships, we're focused on residential in those areas, and we would support the towns in their growth and development. So around Morganton, Drexel, Valdez, we're focused in residential kind of territory there. So with all that, I'd be happy to answer any questions for you.
Gentlemen, you've heard the presentation. Any questions or comments for Alan?
Mr. Chairman, I just had one. Most of my questions were answered during pre-agenda, but what kind of impact will it have on our budget? Will we be spending a lot of money to do this study, or?
Well, the plan itself is a guideline. It's a broad guideline for the county. So if there's any money to be spent on infrastructure or other things, they would come to you on a case-by-case basis, like you considered the BDI's request for some sewer money, to support economic development. Those individual requests will come one by one to the county as needed, to the commissioners for consideration and review.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
At this time, we'll hold a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? There being none, I'll close the public hearing. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt ordinance 2022-07, updating the Blueprint Burke Strategic Land Use Plan, and approve the following consistency statement. This ordinance is consistent with NCGS 160D-501 pertaining to the requirements for comprehensive planning and future land use maps, and because the BBSLUP is a tool that will be used to support growth and development in Burke County.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. All those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand. That motion carried 4-0, Madam Clerk. That brings up us to the next item on the agenda, informal public comments. I would remind each speaker that when you come to the front, make sure the red light is on, which it is at this point, and please state your name and address, and the time limit is 3 minutes as a reminder. So, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have several folks signed up to speak tonight. I call on Debbie Hawkins.
I am Debbie Hawkins, Chair of the Burke County Animal Advisory Board, a foster provider for dogs from Animal Services, and a citizen of Burke County. My address is 4043 Old Secrest Avenue. Let's start with why. Why a new Animal Services Center? The county is responsible to its citizens as well as the programs that serve our citizens. That includes the Burke County Animal Services Center. Animal Services was never intended to be an adoption center. Our 50-year-old shelter, 16 dog kennels and 24 cat kennels, a housing capacity for 40 animals. A primary mission to serve those animals who are sick, injured, or unhealthy. In the past 8 months, they've seen over 1,000 strays, a 21% increase in dog intakes. More than 350 owner surrenders, a 27% increase. A 68% decrease in owners reclaiming their pets. Over 1,000 animals have entered our shelter, most of whom are not fixed. We are currently more than 210 spay and neuter surgeries behind. Dogs and cats, not at the shelter, but in foster homes or homes waiting to be adopted. Staff are transporting the animals out of county and out of state, trying not to get further behind. Too many unaltered animals entering animal services and not enough vet appointments. Why? One reason. An ordinance that warns an owner for their first offense for allowing their unaltered pet to run loose. Once is all it takes for an animal to get pregnant. There's nothing in our ordinance to control indiscriminate breeding, a huge disrespect to reputable breeders who care about the standards of breeding and the bloodline. Indiscriminate breeding that results in puppies and kittens sold or given away, unvaccinated, unaltered, the cycle continues. The influx of dogs and cats this year has forced our staff into roles of adoption and transportation coordinators, reducing adoption fees, pleading with the public just to get adoptable animals out of the shelter to avoid killing them. This is not sustainable. The kennels are old and outdated, small, noisy, creating added stress for the animals and unsafe conditions for staff and volunteers. There have been 26 dogs in holding at Animal Services for over 180 days, all because of court continuances and delays. Why? Our legal system is not timely in enforcing current laws and are holding violations of our ordinance accountable. So we will continue to warehouse animals for backlogged court cases. Kennel space intended for the sick, injured, or unhealthy. Everyone applauded Animal Services when they decreased the kill rate. Well, it's going up again. And it's no fault of Animal Services. They are doing all they can to avoid killing adoptable animals. They will eventually give up. Killing animals every week takes its toll. We need a shelter that has enough space, equipment, and staff to support the number of unwanted animals in our county, to provide quality customer service for the public, a shelter that invites volunteers to support the animals and the programs at the center. We need a spay and neuter clinic. We cannot manage with a limited number of vet appointments. Catawba and Caldwell made it happen. If we're truly all about advancing, we are past due. I encourage you to move forward and support a new Animal Services Center that is built with a realistic future in mind, based on all the pieces of the puzzle, not just data. Why? Because that's what the citizens of Burke County deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Pastor Logan.
I am George Logan, 101 Inglewood Drive. I want to continue our conversation with you all concerning the Confederate Monument and kind of update you on what has happened from the day Caroline Avery first came here and then many others after her. From that, we have now a group called the Burke Coalition for Reconciliation. And in that, we've had churches who have adopted a month and who have also come and presented before you all and shared their concerns and thoughts about the Confederate Monument. But something far greater than what we ever anticipated or expected has happened rather organically, and I think in many ways because of you all. And that is that people have come together and people are talking. And each month we look forward to meeting in a church and just discussing issues pertaining to reconciling and people coming together and talking about really the infrastructure, the ethos of Burke County and how we might change it for the betterment of this whole county. One thing that came to my mind, even as we were sharing about the demographics here, is how the showing people in this community that Burke County and Morganton and this area can be the most loving place on earth. When we're trying to attract people, it's far more than just a job. It's far more than the beauty of this area. It's what people feel when they come here. It's what they feel, all kinds of people, all races, all backgrounds, all cultures, when they come here and they sense this place wants me. It's inclusive of me. It desires for me to be here. And I think it was clear, I wasn't expecting to see this, but when you see that millennials are now the primary workforce in the nation today, and we baby boomers are fading away, there's something necessary to replenish this community. It is a lovely community. It's a beautiful community. And I think a lot of people like to invite their family and friends into this community. But if there are representations of things that have happened in the past of this community that are still present today and still very prevalent and can be seen even on our courthouse square, it doesn't give that message. The message is someone is not necessarily thinking about us. And when I say us, I mean all of us, not just black people, not just white people, but every person. And maybe one of the reasons there is a problem with people coming in, quite possibly, is the message that they may be receiving just by walking down the center of this city. So I pray that you'll take that into consideration moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Madam Clerk?
Ron Michaud.
Good evening. My name is Ron Michaud. I live at 218 Laurel Hills Drive in Morganton. And I have a situation. I met with the county manager and some commissioners. I've had great meetings. And I met with Brian and we discussed some rules on jobs and bidding. And then we talked about the American Rescue Plan. And I know that the county received $17 million. So he told me to get with this person and they could help me understand how to get it done, how to process. And I put my input and they give me theirs. Well, I was treated terrible. Conversation was bad. Attitude was bad. It was very unacceptable. Tone was bad. And I know that people have bad days. So I let it go. I went back for 2 weeks, thought about it. I called again. They said, leave a message. So I left a message. So for 2 more weeks, I never received a call. So I went back to Mr. Steen, talked to him, told him what was up, and we talked about the vendors list, how to get on the vendors list, and I told him my situation. So I was downtown working, and I received a phone call from this person. And I don't know if they were upset because I mentioned it to Brian, and he said that he would handle it. So I got the phone call. This person was very loud, very unruly, disrespectful, and one of my workers was standing beside of me and said, "Who is that hollering on the phone?" I said, "Well, it's a person at the county," and I didn't call any name. But I let it go. I've thought about it, and I've thought about it, and I've had some great meetings with commissioners and Brian. I would not tolerate this abuse in my company if this person worked for us. It will be dealt with. And I'm upset about it. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I thought everybody should know what's going on with us and the county. And this person is named Margaret Pierce. I've never met her. I don't know why she was upset or what her problem was, but it's unacceptable, and I just thought I would bring it to the commissioners and the county managers meeting. I appreciate it, and thank you for having me here today.
Thank you.
Carla Kincaid. Alice Halstead.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Alice Halstead. I live on Mount Gilead Church Road. It's South Mountain Fire District. As you're well aware, I've been in contact with you over the last couple of months, along with the county manager, about the debris and the operational lanes on our roadways. I'm pleased to tell you that 98% of the debris has been cleared back. The fire trucks are no longer being damaged, and it's greatly appreciated. Listening to the deputy county manager and seeing a lot of information here and hearing Mr. Carswell talk about enjoying the lake, I pay taxes in this county. Right here are numerous tax bills I have for what I own. I've got 3 or 4 missing. Unfortunately, I have to renew my tags on my vehicles, all of them in the month of October. This year, I got them all done but one, which is my personal RV. I paid my taxes last year. I cannot get my RV on the roadway from Mount Gilead Church Road down Old 18 to Highway 18. I have 2 weeks to get the required inspection before I have to surrender my tag in order to stay compliant with the state laws. I spoke to the county manager earlier by email, and his solution was for me to contact my representatives in Raleigh. However, on the website for the county, it clearly says that our county manager is the liaison. I just heard the deputy county manager talking about the Fontana floor, cleaning that up, working with DOT. So why can we not get this done with the county manager to get 3 limbs out of the way so I can get my RV out of the house and get my inspection? I would love to go to the lake. I would love to go to that RV park. But I, as a taxpayer, paying the taxes, sponsoring that, can't leave my yard. I can understand the frustration because I'm not the only one. We live in a tourist area. We're at South Mountain State Park. Horse trailers try to come in. It is a hazard. You have to go into the other lane in order to get past these trees. They are in turns. I am not willing to risk my health or my safety to operate on my roadways when I'm paying as required by law. Now, I realize my gas tax pays for the maintenance of the roads, but I also know that my taxes are paying for all these wonderful things up here in our county that I can't leave my yard with my RV to enjoy. Gentlemen, if you could rattle whoever's change you need to at the DOT so I can have my vehicle inspected by October 31st, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's all the cards I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Well, gentlemen, that'll move us to the consent agenda. I'll ask our County Manager, Brian Steen, to review the items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, you have 8 items on the list now. Animal Services, proclamation for National Animal Shelter Appreciation Week. Number 2, BDI, MOA, Great Meadows Incorporated. Item 3, Community Development, resolution of support for a rural transformation grant. Item 4, General Services, engineering and architectural fees for East Burke Convenience Site. Item 6, JCPC, appointment to the JCPC. Item 7, Tax Department Tax Collection Report for September 2022. Item 8, Tax Department Release Refund Report for September 2022. And item 9, Veteran Services Resolution in support of Operation Green Light. That concludes your consent agenda.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 8 items on the consent agenda.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 4-0, Madam Clerk. That'll move us up on to items for decision, and there is an item for decision. This will involve the Health Department request for approval of out-of-state travel. And I'll ask Mr. Danny Scalise to step forward, please.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening.
The item that's on there is for Davina Studley. She'll be traveling to the International Association of Emergency Managers. She is the Public Health Preparedness Director in Burke County. It is already approved in the budget. We had the money that was there, but we have to bring any outstate travel to you all per your policy. So I didn't think it was a very big item at all. It was a small amount for travel, much smaller than most of the others that we do.
Thank you, Danny. Questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I emailed all of you my concerns with this, and I promised I wouldn't voice any opinions, etc., about it, but it's just, and if I even say what I was about to say, I would be breaking my own promise, but anyhow, there's reasons that I feel like I cannot support it the way it's presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Any other questions, comments? Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the out-of-state travel request for Davina Studley as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Carswell. All those in favor of the motion signify with uplifted hand. Opposed? Motion carried 3-1. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. To reports and comments. Start down at the end. Margaret?
No comments, thank you.
All right. Mr. County Attorney?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the last meeting of commissioners on September 20th, I have redrafted 2 memoranda of agreements between the county and Western Piedmont Community College to allow the college the use of rooms at the courthouse and the 911 center for teaching by the college's law enforcement training center. I've reviewed and made changes to a proposed short-term rental moratorium ordinance that the commissioners considered and passed tonight. I drafted a cease and desist letter for the health department's use. I assisted 911 concerning a public records request and possible court order. Reviewed a proposed memorandum of agreement between BDI and Unix for the acquisition of property in Burke Business Park. Reviewed surveys and am in the process of completing documents there. I'm working to complete a legal complaint concerning certain property on the Eichard Road, Hiss Road. I've researched concerning employee incentive programs for county employees. I've assisted HR concerning public records requests from another county. I have prepared a motion for land acquisition for the commissioner's consideration. I've reviewed a draft educational incentive policy for county employees. I've assisted with issues concerning the pending retirement of Sheriff Wisnett. I have attended a Board of Adjustment meeting on October 11th to answer questions about the proposed short-term rental moratorium. And I am completing an amendment currently concerning the current Jonas Ridge convenience site to add an additional year to that lease for general services. That concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk,
No comments tonight, thank you.
County Manager,
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Taylor.
Mr. Chairman, it's been a very, very busy couple of months for me, but I did get to participate in some extracurricular activity in the last few weeks. And in addition to the reports that's in writing in your package, I was able to attend the 50th anniversary of the Texas Fish Camp. Commissioner Johnny Carswell was at that event. Had an agriculture steering committee, and I'm sure, Kay, you do not have that yet because it was just the last 2 weeks ago. They don't move that fast. And attended the Chamber's event of the Candidates Forum at Western Piedmont Community College. And I believe Jeff and Johnny was that also. So a busy week, but the big things that's taken a lot of time for Maynard, of course, is his wife, plus him and his son, who is David, took on rebuilding a 2090 4-clutch and main clutch farm tractor. We couldn't get anybody to do it. And it took us a lot of time, took a lot of days, but that thing sure runs pretty and operates good. So, but unreal, I never would have believed I'd have tackled that, but I did. So that is my report, sir.
So if I have a problem with a lawnmower or anything, I just haul it down there and you'll take care of it?
You may haul it down there. We might make an ornament out of it.
Commissioner Britton.
No comments, sir.
Commissioner Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very quickly, we attended, the chairman and I, the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, first meeting of the year under Madam President Tracy Johnson. On Thursday, I did attend a broadband meeting. That will be President Johnson's initiative for the coming year. That was a very healthy meeting. I will use that term, healthy. Lasted from 10 to 3. We were greeted by the North Carolina DIT giving their spin on where broadband is in North Carolina at the present time. I'm sad to say tonight we're not much better off than what we were a short while ago. It was a very encouraging meeting. The initiative from the president hopefully will set a path so that we can move forward with NCDIT. I can say that I will send all of y'all, I want to send you a summary of what happened there, but I can tell you that Charter Spectrum and AT&T and a company that is now known as Connect Holding 2 LLC, doing business as Bright Speed, doing business as CenturyLink, got the award for Burke County. They got an award of $9 million. They asked us to pony up almost $1 million to help them, which we're not probably going to do. We don't have to do anything. This company can still move forward with what they propose. I wasn't real fond of the proposal that they put in it where they wanted to try to start some broadband service. So, as I say, I will get that report done as soon as I can, and let you know what transpired from there. But it was a good meeting, it was a good start, and I hope we can move forward with some new announcements and maybe satisfy some of the folks in the county. I think everybody's excited, like a great grant's going to do so much, which it really isn't. So we'll look at some other grant processes, maybe one called CAB, where we as commissioners can help decide where that broadband needs to go. But I did want to mention that tonight, sir.
Absolutely. And the more they talk down there, the more clear it becomes, clear as mud. It's a frustrating subject. And I finally understand all the acronyms now. And so that's saying something in itself. But yeah, that was a good trip to Winston-Salem. And of course, Vice Chair Carswell and I will be in Raleigh next month at the Legislative Goals Committee. We'll set our legislative agenda. And so we'll be down there several days representing Burke County and actually this region. So, and Johnny representing the state as a whole. So, good information there. Thank you, sir. At this point, I would say, please, once again, as we said earlier, adopt or foster a pet from Animal Services. I would encourage you, don't litter. Cover your loads at the landfill or convenience centers. And just as a friendly reminder, county offices will be closed on November 11th in observance of Veterans Day. And I will turn it over to Madam Clerk. Vacancy announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have the following opportunities for citizens to be involved in county boards and committees: the Adult Care and Nursing Home Community Advisory Committees, City of Morganton Board of Adjustment and Planning Board for the ETJ, Burke Senior Center Advisory Council, the Child Protection and Child Fatality Prevention Team, East Burke Senior Center Advisory Board, Burke County Board of Adjustment, Council on Aging, Burke County Board of Health, Partners Consumer and Family Advisory Committee for the Traumatic Brain Injury, and the Hickory Regional Planning Commission.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And Commissioner Taylor did want me to remind everybody that where we are on Operation Greenlight. Kay, can you give us a quick update?
We adopted a resolution tonight, didn't we, for that? Yes, we did. And we have a number of county facilities in key locations that will be illuminated for with green for the veterans. And I believe that the town of Valdez may also be participating. And I know that the city of Morganton is also adopting a proclamation, and I think Vice Chairman Carswell will accept that proclamation on behalf of the board. Happy to entertain any other questions about Project Greenlight.
Nope, just thank you for all the good work. And Lance.
Those who want to participate, where do they get the green light?
Yeah, for those who want to participate,
Well, I'd say like us, Amazon.
Amazon. Amazon's pretty much the
Amazon.
answer for everything.
Actually, Lowe's has a lot of green lights for Christmas. That's where I bought mine.
Good idea.
Yeah,
So
any of
what-
your major big box retailers should have holiday lights now.
Perfect. Thank you. This time, this brings us to item number 13. There is a need for closed session to discuss threatened or pending litigation, to preserve the attorney-client privilege, to discuss economic development matters, or discuss contractual matters, and discuss personnel matters. This motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.118, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We do need a motion for that.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor, signify with an uplifted hand. And I'm assuming Johnny's hand was uplifted.
I'm so sorry.
And so we do have a unanimous vote, Madam Clerk. We will go into closed session, and we'll take a 5-minute break before doing so. All right, gentlemen, we had a proper motion to come out of closed session. We are returned to open session. There was no action needed to be taken, so at this point, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor signify with the uplifted hand, and that motion carried